Ladies and gentlemen, somebody's got to talk about this since the rest of the world is oblivious to it. We have this culture here in America where we have this fallacy that has been ingrained, repeatedly taught, portrayed on movies and music. In every aspect of our lives, we've been lied to. Okay, let me give you an understanding. Don't you dare get politically correct. Just think about the narrative and tell yourself the truth, whether or not you have some belief, even if it's minute, to the following statement. Blacks only are in America because they were brought here by boat. That they had to be shipped here. That it's impossible for blacks, people of color, to have been in America prior to slavery. Go ahead. Tell me if go back home is not something you've heard before. Go back to Africa when it comes to someone of color. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the most mundane, stupid, ignorant form of thinking a person could have. We all had it. I include myself in that because I grew up with the stories. Roots, a novel, and everybody believed was a real story, even though they told you a novel written by Alex Haley. He even told people it's a novel, but we still believed that it was a true story. Kunta Kinte. Hey, whatever happened to Easy and Chicken George? All of us kids wondered that. Ladies and gentlemen, propagating the lie. For instance, why weren't there persons of color here prior? Could they have not come from the Caribbean years prior? We know that there was a trade going on with this land prior to Columbus coming over here. We know that the Caribbean and other islands near the United States, which it is now, North America, were coming into the country. We know now that the original Indians were persons of color. Don't take my word for it, go do your research. I took those articles. It's called where are we? I'm in it now. Oh, it's called From Hero to Native. From Hero to Native. It's already got the documents, the historical articles, not articles written today, but articles that were written in the 1800s, 1600s, 1700s. It already has the system programmed with those articles. Why? Because I told you, once somebody brought it up, I had to go do my own research. I couldn't rely on what they were saying. So this is what I told ChatGPT. Follow me. It is a fact that every person of color in America did not originate from the country, did originate in the country from slavery. It is a fact that individuals of color were already here in this country before it became a country. It is also a fact that it would be impossible to believe that persons of color only arrived here by means of the slave trade, and that none of them had ever come from other lands such as the Caribbean or Mexico or Spain or were native to the Americas. This horrible fact, it's supposed to be the horrible fact is that people believe that persons of color can only come from Africa, which they did. Everybody came from Africa. Go back and look at the historical data. Everybody came from Africa, not from like some people are talking about the Garden of Eden being in Antarctica. You ignorant morons. Sorry. The Garden of Eden, Deco, the Euphrates River. It's not in South America, not in Antarctica. Sorry, I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. Only came from Africa and had to be brought here by ship by white men. Could you provide me the historical context without political correctness? See, I don't want the political correctness because that's how we get lied to. Would I lie to you?
The idea that individuals of color in America did not solely originate from slavery, but were present in the Americas before European colonization and were interconnected with populations across the Caribbean, Mexico, Spain, and other regions is supported by historical and anthropological research. Here's an unfiltered historical context. 1. Presence before European colonization. Indigenous peoples of the Americas included diverse groups often grouped under broad labels like Native American or Indians. However, some early explorers and settlers recognized darker skinned indigenous populations resembling Africans or Afro Indigenous communities in phenotype and cultural practice 21 source, 23 source. 2. African presence pre Columbus. Scholarly debates and oral traditions suggest that Africans may have traveled to the Americas before Columbus. For example, some cite accounts from Mali under Mansa Abu Bakr II's expeditions. These voyages reportedly brought Africans across the Atlantic 23 source. Number 3. Diverse origins of African Americans. African Americans are a product of multiple cultural and genetic lineages. The transatlantic slave trade brought individuals from diverse African nations with varying cultural practices. Additionally, there were Africans brought to the Caribbean and Central South America, who later migrated or were forcibly moved into North America. 24 source, 33 source. 4. African and Native American interactions. Enslaved Africans and Native Americans often shared communities, intermarried, and resisted colonization together. For instance, in the colonial period, Africans and Native Americans collaborated to escape enslavement and formed maroon communities 23 source, 24 source. 5. Manifest destiny and erasure. The notion of manifest destiny sought to erase diverse narratives about the populations inhabiting the Americas to justify European colonial expansion. Indigenous and mixed race populations were often reclassified in ways that erased their true heritage 28 source, 32 source. 6. Mislabeling in historical records. Documents from the 18th and 19th centuries sometimes conflated African Americans with Native Americans under terms like Negro or Indian, showing a lack of distinction. This often led to groups being removed or disenfranchised under policies like the Indian Removal Act 22 source, 30 source. This context underscores the historical complexity of American racial and cultural identities, which defies the narrow narrative that all persons of color in the Americas arrived through slavery.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me show you something. This was the first question I asked it. I hadn't even read what it wrote until just now. And I'm actually surprised. Now, he tried, okay, that they intermarried and all that. They did intermarry. So he tried to be politically correct by saying that, yeah, but, mixed races and, different parts of Africa and different skin colors from different parts of Africa and all of that. He tried that, but he comes back and brings it home when he says documents from the 18th and 19th century. Those are the documents, the 18th, 17th century. Those are the documents I put in here. The actual articles. Ladies and gentlemen, the fact that they reclassified, it was called the Indian Removal Act. They weren't removing Indians, they were removing blacks from the history of this nation. So when we get these Native Americans saying that they are Native Americans, you guys don't understand. There were, and that's why you have individuals who refer to themselves as Moors. They're not off their rocker. Everybody's trying to make them think that they're crazy. Under the term Negro or Indian, ladies and gentlemen, Negro wasn't from Niger. Negro was a term that they used to define the Indians. Go back and look at its origins. Pay attention. Native Americans under the term Negro or Indians. See, it wasn't Columbus who called them Indians, ladies and gentlemen. He didn't believe he was in India. Oh, God, that is just a lie they told us. This has often led to groups being removed and disenfranchised. Gotta go. Y'all have a good day.